I really want to become a better video editor. And in that conquest, I've looked at so many different tools that could help me become a better editor. One of them is called Dehancer, which is a software program that I use with Davinci Resolve, and it helps you do special color grading quickly and easily for a monthly cost. I was not really too sure about the program. I wasn't sure if it would be something that would be beneficial or incredibly helpful to me. And I was really surprised when one day I received a email from someone from the Dehancer team. And I was asked if I would make a review and check out their product. And they gave me 1 free month to do so, as well as an affiliate link, which you guys can find in the description below if you end up wanting that program yourself by the end of this video. You can also save 10%. I haven't really done a video like this before, so you kind of have to forgive if it's a little rocky. We're going to go through the process of downloading it, installing it, and using it, and then I'm going to talk about some of my thoughts on the program itself. So the first thing you'll do is you'll go to the website, dehancer.com, and you'll get an account, and you'll sign up. And after you get your account and you've purchased the subscription of your choice that you would like to use, you'll go up to the top here and you'll click download. From here, you're going to pick how you want to use it. So you can do Davinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro, Adobe, Baselight, a number of other Adobe programs, and standalone applications. And from here, I got the Dehancer Pro program. So I'm going to go to my Davinci Resolve and Dehancer Pro, and then you go show. And from there, they give you a couple installation files for Mac OS, Windows, and Linux, which is pretty cool. So once you've downloaded the program and you've extracted it using the extractor of your choice, you get a couple different files here in the folder. You have a CUDA, you have an OpenCL, you have a quick guide, and you have a setup guide for Davinci Resolve, which is very helpful. They're actually super easy to learn the program and get right into it. I have an NVIDIA graphics card, which uses CUDA, so we'll be installing the CUDA. So the installation is a little bit more complex than you would think, but it's also really easy to do because the program just kind of walks you through it. So welcome to the Dehancer Pro plugin setup. And then you'll have a EULA that you'll have to read through and accept at your leisure. Then you'll pick where you want it installed. And then when you're done, it says all previous versions will be installed, which is important, I guess, if you're updating. So once that's all done, it says everything's ready and it tells you how much space it'll use. You click install and it doesn't take very long. And then it shows you all of your information, which I'll have blurred out in the video, obviously, for your subscription. It tells you how many seats you have. So with the Pro, you have 3, and I have this computer activated, so it's just 1. And it'll tell you the next time that it renews. And from there, you can click close. So the next thing you'll do is you'll go into your main timeline, and I am using DaVinci for this. So if you're using a different editor, it's definitely going to look different, but I just know DaVinci. And I have a bunch of files that I have loaded up from our trip that we took to Montana recently that just has some cool kind of beauty shots and different neat things that I took. And you just want to pick one of the files and you can drag it and drop it into your timeline. And from here, you can kind of just watch the footage and see what it looks like. So the way that I recorded this was on my Sony a6400. And I like to use the Sony Cine and S-Log 3. And so that's what we're looking at here is this completely raw, ungraded footage. All right, so once you load your footage, you'll be kind of on your way to start using the software. And as you can see here, I just have a quick little video that is in slow motion. It's just walking in this little resort area that we were at. I took all these videos when we were in Montana for the purposes of making this review because I thought it would be kind of cool to get like some beautiful nature stuff and then just see how it all handles out. This is recorded using my A6400, and I use Sony Cine S-Log 3 grading. Well, not grading, but the color profiles in the camera. And The footage isn't anything too amazing. Obviously, it needs to be cleaned up a little bit and made to look nicer. So, usually, what I'll do is I'll go over here to the color window and I'll go and find color spaces and I'll transform the color. And we'll go here and you have to go into your input and you have to dig and try to find, what kind of recording technical information based off what you've recorded for it. And as a new editor, it took me a very long time to figure all this stuff out. It was very confusing to me. And it just seemed like most of the footage that I tried to do any sort of color grading on wasn't, it's never as good as I want it to be. You guys have seen my Japan videos. They're not nearly as cinematic and cool as I was hoping they would be. So instead of using this color space transform, we are instead going to use a different method. Instead of that, we're going to go and we're going to look for Dehancer, and you just have to grab this film emulation and drag and drop it. Now, here is kind of where the super cool part goes. So you can go in here and you can pick your source, but you can also choose camera. And from here, you can just go and I can find my camera, which is a Sony, and then we'll go down to A6400, and then we can pick if we want S-Log3, S-Gamut, or Cine, which is what I like to use, and it'll kind of set everything up for you. Now, keep in mind, there is like settings that are pre-baked into this, and that's why you're kind of seeing the video look the way that it does. And so next is where you start doing all your deep diving into everything. And this is where I actually think it's really, really cool. So one of the things it does is film emulation. And I'm not super familiar with all the technicalities of it all. I'm very much a layman. But the way I think about it, and this is probably super blasphemous, but it's kind of almost like adding like Instagram filters to your footage and everything. But what it does is it emulates different types of film if you were shooting in analog. That allows you to get some really cool kind of cinematic footage. So as you can see, we can kind of check some different ones out here, and you can just, see how it affects the footage a lot and how you can get some really beautiful colors extremely quickly if this is just where you wanted to stop it at. And obviously this is a little bit dark, so we could bring the exposure up a bit and we could see what it looks like super exposed. You can also adjust, your temperature, your tint. Not really entirely sure what defringing is, but you can kind of just play around with it and see what that does, which is kind of cool. And then it's really easy to come back from. You just have to hit that and it just goes back. So you can also mess with your temperatures as well. If it's too cold or too warm for you, you can kind of tweak those out as well. It gives you a ton of control, like really, really easy, and that's kind of what I'm trying to show here. So we'll go with the Fuji color. I do like the 200, so we'll try the Superior 200. And then from here, we'll go into the film developer. Now, at any time, if you don't want to use this particular part of it, you can just click the enabled and it'll turn it off. And then you can go to your contrast boost and you can add some contrast in or take contrast down. You can also do a little bit of gamma correction, which is helpful. So if you want to do the film developer, this one, so some of them are turned on normally and some of them aren't. And I watched another reviewer that had talked about this like before I even had this opportunity. And it was really interesting because he was saying, that he doesn't like how multiple things are checked on and you have to decide, he would rather have it be a blank slate and you choose and build down. And I do kind of agree with that actually, from my use of it as well. So, because I was just messing with the film developer and I forgot that I didn't check enabled, so then I wasn't seeing the results of it. So if you want to see it, you got to check enabled. And you can do your contrast boost, or you can actually pull the contrast back back like that, and you can make it really kind of blown out. But that might be a stylistic choice that you have. And then you can, mess with the color separation. Sometimes zooming in helps with some of this stuff too. You can see the color separation a little bit. I'm not entirely sure what that does, to be honest with you. You can also do a little bit of boost on the color. And you can, see how it just really, that's like really cool looking. I like that a lot. Actually, I don't normally like slam faders so much, but that's a really beautiful shot. Let's watch that in action a little bit there. So that's just, you can get some really cool looks really, really quick from it, which I think is really great. And then if you want to go into film compression, you can enable that. And that kind of adds its own thing as well. So you can do impact. And one thing I've noticed is some of them are kind of more apparent in motion. Kind of hard to determine. You can also do like the white point. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really, a lot of this stuff I don't know, and so, like I said, this is very layman. Like, I am going through like what this would be like if there was a person who wasn't like a pro at this kind of stuff, like playing with it. So yeah, we can enable it and unenable it, and just kind of see the differences there. You can go to expand here, and this is where you can set your black point, so you can really make it super dark, or you can bring it up. And like, again, this is totally to taste. I kind of liked where it started at though. And then your white point also will make changes as well. And like, they kind of get some like cool effects. Like, you can kind of see how the sun is like really blown out and kind of like wispy. I don't necessarily know that I would use that entirely, but it's pretty cool looking. And then this is what it looks like with it off, which actually you can't really tell with it off. But color mode, and you can also go to Luma and see that as well. Let's see. So print is interesting. So you can pick Cineon Film Log or print film. Oh wow, that's really weird looking. And the Kodak print film, I like that a lot actually. It's a little too dark, but I actually kind of dig that. And you can also go to the glossy paper, which actually I think almost is maybe the best. I really like the look of this already, honestly. From here, again, you can adjust your exposure if you want to expose it a little bit more, or pull that down. You can also add tonal contrast, which again is just more contrast settings. There's just a lot of minutia you can dive in here. And then you can go to your color density too. And the next section is the color head, and you can enable that. And you can see here, you can kind of mess with the colors a little bit and kind of dial them in pretty much exactly how you want them to, which is really neat. I did like that first setting. Make it a little bit more red, make it look kind of like older in a way. And also deal with the shadows and the tones of the shadows. Kind of give it a little bit of a different look based on that. Midtones. Now, I would suspect if you were a actual, like, person that was well versed in color grading, this would be even more exciting to you. But I actually really like this in general, just to get these like vibes really quickly, and really, most importantly, easily, because it's very, very daunting to be an editor and to try to learn color grading. I feel like it's a huge thing. I used to do audio, and it's kind of like learning mastering, in my opinion, which a lot of people think they're really good at, but it literally takes like 20 plus years to make that work right for you. Okay, so you can kind of pull the tone down a little bit with the impact slider, which is kind of neat. I do like just this overall look, though. And then you can have film grain, too, which is kind of weird with this particular footage, because I feel like the it's pretty noisy footage in general, And so you're just kind of adding more noise on top of the noise, but it does blend in fairly well from what I can see. And you can really kind of dial that in differently. You can change all these different ISOs and see and millimeters for like lens millimeters, which again, I'm not really entirely sure how that works out, but it is something you can kind of do to flavor. And there's halation you can add in, and in this particular scene, I actually think halation works really well. I don't know how easy it is to see the footage that way, but I just kind of like the effect that that adds, and then you could amplify it way up. But it just, I don't know, it just adds like just that little, like it's almost like a very subtle change, and I just really dig that a lot. You can go into bloom too, which also you can see how it raised in the back there quite a bit. I feel like the bloom is pretty heavy. We could try a different combo here, some Super 8. That's pretty neat. And it gets fuzzy, it gets like a little like analog damage kind of a thing, but it is really cool for what it is. You can do film damage, and this is where you start to get kind of some fun stuff here. So see how you got the little wispies added in there, like it's old vintage footage of some sort, which I don't know. I find it funny. I don't know that I would particularly use this exact thing. Like, overall we have this really kind of cool look here, a little bit retro. And I don't like to use film damage though, so we won't use that. Check out film breath here, and we'll see what we can do. We change this to Super 8. You can kind of see how it like fades in and out a little bit, is I guess how I would describe it, which adds into that like authentic like analog feel. I've never shot with analog gear before, so I'm not entirely sure like exactly how incredibly accurate this is. I suspect it's pretty darn good though, because I've used a number of things to create like analog damage that I've used before, and it never looks this good. And there's gate weave, which kind of pulls it in and like rounds it out, which is kind of an interesting thing. I think it gets a little shaky this way. This is really neat looking here. All right, so we have all that. And then the last one we have is overscan, and overscan is also kind of like a fun thing you can do. This is definitely like a cool thing for like when you're doing like a travel video or whatnot, which I do plan on using this for some of our Japan videos that I haven't quite posted yet. I have some pretty fun ideas for this program for that, but I'll just kind of go through some of these. Like, that's so cool. I really like that a lot. And yeah, you can just kind of make your own choices about that. You can do the gate shape, which is just this middle section here. And you can go negative or positive if you want it light. So, I mean, really, the features are a lot. There's a lot of different stuff here you can do. And you could also go to horizontal as well and just kind of triple up the image, which is just a really cool look also. We won't use that for this particular footage, though. And then there's Vignette, and I guess you guys have probably seen that quite a bit before. It's usually like where the edges are really dark or they're really light. And this is kind of a pretty standard feature, but they do allow for some pretty cool choices on how you want to deal with that. So see how you can kind of darken it down, and then for the aspect ratio, you can kind of figure out where that window is for it, which is really cool. And you can feather it. So there's really clear there with the aspect ratio, and then as we mess with the aspect ratio, you can really see how that works. But you obviously would want to feather it quite a bit more than that because it looks very, very weird. Yeah, that's great though. I really dig that. That is super cool looking. And then you have some different options for your monitor and also for your output. So I think this is probably, so it says total impact. So I think you could, once you get all these settings, you can kind of reel it in And if you wanted to tuck it back a little bit, you could definitely do that and just have the effect overall be more subtle without having to individually go through each one of them, which I really like a lot. There's also a LUT generator as well, where you can export a LUT, and that's a really cool feature also. And then you have different quality levels too, so we could go to high quality slow and have the slow version. So with that, I'll show it in a bigger version here. And let's see. So we got that. And then this is what it would look like in its full glory after we're done. And we could turn this on and off too to kind of see what the footage looked like before and after. Keep in mind it is chugging a little bit right now. After I bounce the video file and we have our final footage, you'll see that it is nice and smooth, just like normal. My computer's just not super powerful to be able to handle this playback perfectly like this, I guess, right now. So if you just want to go overall, I go on here and I can just click this and you can see that's literally what it looked like before. And it's ungraded footage. It is pretty crispy and clear, but that's kind of the whole point of Dehancers, to bring it a little bit more feeling real, feeling lifelike. And again, you can do that very, very quickly, which as like a new, young, inexperienced person, I think it actually works really great for that. So that was kind of how to use Dehancer and some of the features that it has. They also have an app, and you do get that with the Pro license as well. I'm going to have future videos on that. But it is a very cool program. I'm not entirely sure 100% how I'm going to use it every single day for every video, but definitely when I do my travel videos or I go out places and I film things, I think it's actually a really, really great way to bring a lot of life into my videos without me really being super into it and knowing every tiny little detail. This is definitely significantly better than what I do on my own. It's much more complex than what I can do on my own. And I think that the program is just absolutely wonderful for that. So as far as a time saver goes, I do find it pretty huge. It's not like there's a multitude of things that you can do within a lot of these programs on their own, but having Dehancer is definitely a big tool overall to help you just be smoother, faster, and probably have a little bit more depth than what you could do, especially in the amount of time that you do it. My examples today weren't prime; they weren't the greatest, but you also, again, have to keep in mind, I am not well versed in this stuff. This is something I'm going to need to spend a lot of time on and just learn over time, which is generally just how I learn everything, is just nice and slow, bit by bit. Look up one thing. I have an idea of something I want to do, and then I make it happen after I learn, the different nuances of it. So I really like this program a lot. And if you would like to get it yourself, again, you can use my link below, save yourself 10%, and also kind of help me out a little bit with it. You can definitely look forward to seeing more footage that is altered using Dehancer in the future. I have some Japan videos, like I said, that I am going to come out with, and I'm definitely going to be using that. I've always wanted to do kind of like a beauty reel or something of our trips that we've done, where I've taken some of our best moments, and I think this program would fit in really, really well with that. And again, also, there is an iOS app that I'm very excited to be using, and I am going to do some videos on that as well. And I'm also going to post out some shorts on this too. So I am interested in seeing what you guys think about this. As a viewer, is this something that matters? Is this something that you think is cool? Do you like to see more beautiful shots from creators? Um, I'm not sure like exactly the audience impact of this, but I would love to hear what you think. And hopefully we'll get some cool stuff out soon. So keep that in mind and feel free to check out the program. It is Dehancer. And the last thing I wanted to leave you guys off with is just how cool Dehancer is when they reached out to me. They did not want me to say anything in particular, and they gave me no guidance on any of this at all. They said, we want you to use the program, we want you to see what you think about it, and just make a video talking about your thoughts. They literally said nothing else. They gave me no other incentivization to actually make this particular video. And I think that speaks volumes for them. They even said, if you have bad stuff to say, if you hate this program, if you think it's terrible or useless, be honest. And that might be a first. That might actually be a legitimate first. I've had a lot of people not influence me before, but I haven't exactly had someone just straight out be like, hey, if you got bad things to say, go ahead and say it. We want to know so we can make this program better. And for that, I think they're a great company in that regard. So I'm Dre with the Oxo Talk. If you guys like this content, hit the thumbs up. If you don't, hit the thumbs down. And I'll catch you on the next one. And don't forget about my link.